All right. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about essential oil chemistry and why that's even important to know, right? But first, kind of what the real basics of it is. What is an essential oil? What does it do? What does it do for a plant? Well, it's basically it's the leaves, it's the stems, it's like the roots, seeds, flowers of the different areas of the plant. But they're the essential oil, those little sacs that are inside of the plant are there to help protect it from environmental threats, and then it's also there to help attract things like bugs, animals, different things for reproduction, and then it's also to help repel and help with safety for the plants that they're in. So they are a pretty vital part of a plant and its ability to survive. Maybe this is gonna work. Okay, so every biological effect that we display in using essential oils is due to an action of one or more of its compounds, and it's basically it's when you break it down, it's the chemical structure of the essential oils that really dictates how it's going to act. That chemical structure is going to, if it's going to be something that's going to make you maybe skin sensitive, or if it's going to have a feeling of euphoria or help you calm down or all of that. But that's based upon that structure. And so I want to talk a little bit about that structure on a very basic level. And that's that basically all essential oils, the compounds are based on the backbone of carbon and hydrogen, right? And if you look at it, basically there's two elements that are going to break it down, and the monoterpenes, if it's got like 10 carbons in it, then it's a monoterpene. If it's got 15 carbons in it, it's going to be a sesquiterpene. So what does that mean? What are monoterpenes? What are sesquiterpenes? Well, monoterpenes are basically found in almost all essential oils, right? Because they are going to help, where they have the 10 carbons in it, they're a little bit lighter, when we know that the molecular structure or molecular weight of the essential oils is very light and fluffy, right? So monoterpenes are going to comprise mostly of your essential oils, and typically those things are things that are going to help purify. They're going to be soothers and calmers. They're going to protect. They're going to relieve issues, and they're going to eliminate things. So if you think of it, it's kind of like the mom, right? Those are all things that moms do, right? They soothe and calm and protect and eliminate all the threats. So you can kind of think of it from that side.
Mono mom.
There you go, mono mom. So sesquiterpenes, on the other hand, are still very good, but they have 15 carbons on them, and so they're a little bit heavier. So they're still in essential oils, but they're like I said, they are heavier. So usually they're not in as many of the essential oils. But these things are still important. You know, they can help support immune system, digestive issues. They can calm and soothe. They can relieve their cooling. They have that cooling sensation a lot of the time. They can stimulate, nurture, and help with circular support. So it's kind of thinking like it's the panda bear, right? It's cooling, but yet it still has that bear is kind of that calm most of the time kind of aspect, right? That makes sense?
It's the teddy bear.
It's the teddy bear. So that's the basics, nuts and bolts of it. But now we got to kind of talk a little bit about the functional groups and what makes them go from that. So if you got the 10 carbons and the hydrogen in there, well, when you start to add things like oxygen, this is going to help increase the benefits of the essential oil, or the functioning groups. So you're going to have things like, you're going to hear a lot about alcohols, aldehydes, ketones, oxides, phenols, esters, ethers, and phenylpropylenes. We're going to talk about a few of those. So alcohols, these are like the cleaner, right? Like you got that square well cleaner. It's going to help purify things. It's going to repel things. toner, cleanser. But one of the nice things that alcohols also do is they help with skin appearance. So essential oils that are going to be high in alcohols are going to be melaleuca, geranium, coriander, basil, and lavenders. Obviously, there's lots of other ones, but these ones are the ones that are a little bit higher in there. Phenols, these ones are going to be the ones that are going to protect you. They're going to prevent issues. They're going to basically eject or reject things that are going to happen to you. Think of a big security guard, like a big bouncer guy, right? Oils that are going to be high in these are going to be thyme, oregano, clove, cinnamon bark, and basil. Those are all ones we're going to
Powerhouses.
Mm-hmm. So phenols are obviously really, really good one to have around. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
All right. Ketones are another really good aspect of that functional group. But these are gonna same general principles, right? They're purifiers and stuff, but these are gonna help erase things. These are gonna cleanse things. Ketones, from my understanding, are also really good. Like they're the ones that are gonna help clean receptor sites of cells a lot of the time. So oils that are gonna be high in this are things like spearmint, which put my spearmint on before I started talking to you guys. But dill, peppermint, geranium, spikenard, and frankincense has a lot of ketones in it. All right. So aldehydes, these are ones that are going to help purify, they're going to relieve, they're going to soothe, calm, and protect. Well, when I think of soothe, calming, and protecting, you got the dog, right? That dog's going to have that ability to kind of do all those, protect you and soothe and calm you at the same time, right?
Definitely.
So oils that are going to be high in aldehydes, like cassia, cinnamon, melissa, lemongrass, and lime. Great. All right, we got our little Zen frog going on here for the esters. So these esters are really good for helping rejuvenate, soothe, help you relax, purify, and help you calm down. So that's why we're going there with the Zen frog thing.
The vetiver. Yeah.
So cardamom, eucalyptus, rosemary, melaleuca, peppermint, myrrh, and vetiver are all higher ones in this. So ethers, on the other hand, are going to be ones that are going to be more help, like cleansing, supporting, soothing, but that balance and rejuvenate your body. So you got that rejuvenation, right? The youthful skin, that kind of stuff, and the balancing. So that teeter-totter, right? Kids playing on a teeter-totter, that can kind of help you remember esters and what that really means there. So you kind of know what these are going to do. So now if we look at the actual essential oil, like let's look at vetiver for a minute. Well, it's super high. It's 60 plus percent sesquiterpenes. It's 10% alcohols, 5% ketones, and 1% on the phenols. That's what those backbones are going to have in them. So if you can look in the Modern Essentials book and those kind of things, it's going to break down and have those kind of listed out, like what are those, what that breaks down to. Like the geranium is going to be like closer to 45% alcohols. Now this isn't like exact numbers. It's usually up to about 45% alcohol, up to about 15% monoterpenes, and then 15% of your esters, 10% of your ketones, 20% of your oxides. Actually, oxides we take out there. So now we know kind of why they work now, right? I keep looking off to you guys here because you're on my screen over here. It's a little trippy.
I think that was put together well.
Sweet. So how is this information going to help you to be able to do anything with it? Well, now that you know how those functioning groups works and what they're really good for, it's going to help you know how to use these essential oil. And it basically is the reason why the book tells you to use what essential oil it is for, right? They're based upon the science of those principles, like, oh, let's do this, so let's try that kind of an oil first. Now, obviously, it takes that aspect, and then it takes the actual usage and knowledge of all these people who have used these essential oils too, right? It takes that aspect into account as well, but it's based upon that science backbone of actually helping you understand that. Make sense?
Right.
So the other cool thing with it is if you don't have that exact essential oil that you want that's still supposed to be there, you can look for one that's another one that's high in alcohols or phenols or whatever, right? And then you can be able to find that in there. So super
find
cool.
one that you like the smell of a little better, or you like the, things like that. Like, I'm a huge vetiver girl. I love my vetiver, and but not everybody likes the smell of that one.
Yep.
And so they could go find another sesquiterpene one, right?
Yes.
I remembered something sciencey.
Awesome. But so the cool thing is okay, we've just spent a few minutes talking about that, right? So really, you're not going to want to go teach an entire class on essential oil chemistry because not everyone's going to want that. But this gives you, hopefully this is going to give you a chance to be able to think of what's an alcohol, what does it do, and help someone understand that. When I talk to a lot of guys that are like, yeah, essential oils, they're kind of janky, they're, whatever, to be able to go to them and say, yeah, well, it's based upon the chemical constituents that are inside of that plant, those functional groups and those constituents. That's what that, and whichever one's high in whatever aspect of it, that's why it's going to do what it's going to do. And so they're like, oh, that makes sense. This isn't just mom decided to throw something on me once and that's the way it worked, and so that's what we're going to use for forever.
It's not that's a really good one.
Or people think because it smells this way, then I'm going to use it for this.
Yep.
And
there are some very sciencey people out there.
And it's good to be able to give them that kind of information, right?
Right.
So one of the things that Dr. Hill put out for us is the oil chemistry wheel, right? And so if you kind of look at it, it's got that terpene background. Terpene is a sesquiterpene. And it's going to kind of break that down. Then it's going to break it into those functional groups that we talked about, the alcohols, the aldehydes, the ketones, that part. And then it's going to break it out even further into the actual chemical constituent names of each of these. And then it's going to be the essential oils that have those aspects. So if you look right here, and then also what it kind of does. So if it's energizing, if it's restoring, if it's uplifting. So you can see, so we're based upon a monoterpene backbone. And inside of that, we've got the aldehydes over here, right? This picture isn't super good, so I can't even really see it. But like the phenols and the thymol, and we know that that's in time, so that's something that can help with restoring. The phenyl, it's got that phenylpropylenes, ketones, and you can just keep going through that, right? And so each of these has these different areas. So you've got restoring, uplifting, energizing, soothing, and stabilizing. And you can go through and look, and then what are the other two? Restoring, clarifying, and calming. Well, and see, this one's based upon that sesquiterpene backbone, right? Caryopropylene.
Which is our teddy bears, right?
Sesquiterpenes, yes. See?
See, the pictures help me.
See,
so
that's that nice thing. You can look at that and you can talk science to the lay person now.
Yes, and I love that you put a mom on the monoterpenes because I'm going to think of them as momoterpenes.
I am going to think of it that way just because of Lorraine calling it that. So
yeah, well, it sticks in my head better. See, if I have weird stuff like that, science can stay in my head a tiny bit better.
Well, and doesn't it help too because it makes it real, makes it something. It's not just some like random word that you've had a really hard time. If you sit there and memorize it, you can think of how to say it and sound smart, right? But
Sorry.
It does make a lot more sense because I have a picture of it in my mind. You know, the momoterpenes clean the house and they soothe you and they make you feel better. The big teddy bears soothe you and protect you.
Absolutely.
Sesquiterpenes.
So yes, so basically, regardless of the why, you know, we can talk about science all day. We can do all that, but regardless of that, the oils, they're derived from plants, and they'll support your body physically and emotionally for pretty much anything you want it to. But we just got to open lids and be able to use them. And even someone who wants to know the science, hopefully this can give them enough information to be able to understand why they would want to use them. So then hopefully we can get them to use them and understand it and know the best way to use, like, and get that belief in essential oils. Because when you put peppermint on your back and you start to feel that little energy and a little buzz, that goes along, that is going to help that person more than knowing the science behind it, right? But
Yeah.
sometimes we need to know a piece of the science so that we can help them get to a point where we even want to do that. So hopefully that is enough